I brought up the fact of about what I think is going to happen at left guard if you don't get Tyler Smith. We talked about Udoka, right? And so keep an eye on that one for if in fact Tyler Smith can't go. I just feel like that these coaches, especially early games, first game of the season, they tend to go with things that they know. But do we really know anything about Udoka watching him play? Now, I know obviously, they know more than us because they see all the practices and stuff like that. But I know when we were out there in Oxnard, it just didn't look too positive to me, like a guy that was kind of broken down a little bit. And we'll get into the Giants here because there's some spots, especially inside, you don't want to be broken down.
No, but they do. I mean, to your point, they think higher of him than we do. And that's been the conversation even back to when we were doing draft shows. We were thinking, maybe they need to get a guard. Maybe they need an offensive lineman. Then they come away with not taking anybody. They get Bass as an undrafted guy.
Right.
But they seem to value Udoka.
They do. And I like I say, I'm doing radio and they're doing player personnel stuff. So if that's how they're going to work. But, man, to me, I've never hoped more for Tyler Smith to get healthy right now. I know that's the kind of the fandom coming out of me right there. But I want Tyler Smith to play in this game.
Me too.
Oh, it's a huge bummer if he doesn't.
Yeah, it really is a huge bummer because they're going to need an inside presence here. And speaking of the inside presence, it really does start with the guys you're going to have to deal with here. You're going to have to deal with Leonard Williams, and you're going to have to deal with Dexter Lawrence. Now, when you get a Dexter Lawrence, that's a 7.5 sack guy for a defensive tackle at 340 pounds. And so when last year against the Cowboys, though, in the couple of games that he got to play against you, he had 5 tackles and 1 quarterback hit if you average out how it broke down for the 2 times. So the Cowboys did a pretty nice job against him he averages somewhere right around 55 plays he's going to get you. So to have the 5 tackles, 1 hit in 2 games, I think is a pretty good measuring stick there for the Cowboys. A nice job with him. But other than that, this guy does get quarterback hits. A lot of it has to do with his mass, the way he's just able to push the front of the pocket. He had 28 quarterback hits last year. He had 7 tackles for the loss. You deal with him, and it's a big, powerful group. The Cowboys have struggled with teams that have powerful inside
That's
players.
what's exciting about getting Tyler Smith at left guard.
Yeah.
It gives you a chance to kind of turn the momentum on that.
Yeah.
Just so in general, it would stink to not have Smith, but especially against those guys on the Giants.
Yeah. And like I say, you're going to have to deal with that, but they're also where the Giants, I think, are a little bit of a team that, is everybody talks about Kayvon Thibodeau as their main guy, as their main pass rusher. His first NFL start was against the Cowboys last year. Didn't watch that game. I watched the Thanksgiving Day game just to show he did nothing in week 3 is when he got his first start. He was dealing with that hyperextended knee that kind of slowed him down. But in week 12 in that game in Thanksgiving, he had 5 quarterback hits in that game. So now that's something that, you have to kind of think, okay, well,
who was he beating that day?
He was Steele.
It was right before he got hurt.
Yeah.
The week before.
Right before he got hurt. So yeah, he got Steele. And then, so anyway, keep an eye on Thibodeau there. Another guy you need to keep an eye on is Azeez Ojulari.
Mm-hmm.
And where Ojulari got better as the season wore on, last 7 games that he played, and you could tell that he was starting to feel it as a pass rusher. He had 5.5 sacks, in those last 7 games. So he was starting to kind of generate some pass rush. Him, Thibodeau, they went on a little bit of a run there that got him into the playoffs where they were able to create some pressure defensively. Wink Martindale, that's what he wants to do. He's a big blitz guy. And this kind of allows me to segue into this where their secondary is. And they got a couple of rookies that are going to start. And they're going to start in a way that you're going to see them play because the Cowboys are going to get an 11 personnel. But the whole idea is when you get them in 11 personnel, Adoree Jackson is one starter, and then Deonte Banks is the other. Maryland kid, who was their first-round pick. But when you get them in 11 personnel, what happens is they'll kick Adoree Jackson inside, and they'll bring in a young man named Trey Hawkins from Old Dominion, who was picked in the 6th round. Now, when you watch Banks and Hawkins play, they're both like sticky man-to-man type guys.
Got to be in that defense.
So you're going to get blitz packages, but you're going to get sticky man coverage with these two players. Adoree Jackson can take your slot. He's a smaller guy. He'll carry your slot. But with Hawkins Banks, they're going to play press coverage on you, and they're going to try and run with you. Where it looks like that they've had some problems is when you get them especially with Hawkins, you run inside routes on him, and there's that separation, or you take him up the field. Both these guys have struggled with back shoulder throws. So keep an eye on how the Cowboys, if they take routes vertical and then come back to the ball, and maybe it's run these guys past, put on the brakes, come back to the ball. But some back shoulder throws might be what helps the Cowboys. Inside breaking routes, too, I think are going to, because both these guys, like I say, Hawkins is a long guy. I mean, long, kind of a rangy guy. I think Banks runs better of the two corners, but Hawkins, like I said, he's the one that kind of doesn't maybe have the pedigree of what Banks has.
Yeah, Banks was, he's a guy that was one of the most athletic corners coming out of the class, but he will take some risks on you. You could see him at Maryland watching that tape, a double move. This could bode well for Brandon Cooks to have a really good week 1 game.
Yeah, I think that to me where that like I say, two rookies going at it, when both these kids tackle like pretty well. So balls spill into the edge or ball at them and they can make a tackle. I think that's going to be fine for them. But I would take advantage of Hawkins in this game because, again, I think that the way that he plays trail could give up some stuff, but both guys have struggled with the back shoulder stuff. So that's it. They're going to deal with Dexter Lawrence inside of the pressure, his mass, his size. Thibodeau got better as the season wore along. Ojulari, I think, is a guy that on the other side, if you talk about everything going towards Thibodeau, Ojulari could kind of mess up some of your passing game stuff. Two rookies, Hawkins, and then also Banks. Work Hawkins on the inside, see if you could get him to play some trail. And then with Adoree Jackson, again, that's going to be out of the slot. I think he's equipped to play that way, so it might be going after these rookies initially in this football game that sets you up in the way you need to go.